everybody, it's Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today we're going to continue painting our classical still life. And today's painting, we're going to be focusing on the flowers. Do we have picture-in-picture?
We do.
So we did the glass and the background in our last video. And now we're going to be focusing on this section of the painting here and the flowers. We're going to be moving today with purpose, but in a very relaxed pace. So we're going to be moving along directly, but not in a way that's hurried. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
This is live, so he's going to be answering your questions as you ask them. And so we had a comment from a community member to help us with this because we had a little trouble with the name of the flowers.
Yeah.
And so we were like, couldn't say it. We were like, aluminium. We have a sort of a long history of difficulty, but Pebble to Pearl helped us out. And she says, I'm so excited about the series. Me too, Pebble to Pearl. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. By the way, try this pronunciation for the flower, Alstroemeria. So this is what we're going to be painting today is the Alstroemeria.
Yeah, okay. I would, except for that, I'm going to keep that handy because I'm going to need that.
Let's all say it together. Alstroemeria. So that's what we're painting today. A rose by any other name or an Alstroemeria by any other name. We'll paint just as two hootery. So today is still two hoot. This is still a 2-hoot lesson, which is why we've broken it up into 5 days. This is day 2 of 5 days where we're just taking the still life one section at a time. That just makes it easier. So I'm on a 16 by 20 canvas. Let's look at the colors I put out today and explain why I put them out. Because this is probably more colors than you're thinking are in the flowers, and you are correct. The reason I put some of these other colors out that I have here is so I can resolve around the flowers, the background, or anything that I need to continue painting in from the previous day. So today I have Cad Yellow Light, Naphthol Red Medium, Quinacridone Magenta, Alizarine Crimson, Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, Doxine Purple, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, a little Glazing Liquid, and Titanium White. And I think I was going to put out some
other color?
Yeah, the other blue. But I'm trying to decide. I'm going to look at these guys. And I was going to put out the ultramarine blue, which is on my art table. Okay, you can grab it in a second. I'm going to have a little ultramarine blue out as well because it's going to give me a softer mix into this. That's a lot of colors for just a few flowers, but we're not going to be just painting the few flowers. We're going to be painting. Oh, I'm sitting there talking to my palette, and you're looking at the top of my hat. So we're not going to be just painting the few flowers. We also have to paint around. So I'm going to put out some ultramarine blue over here by the yellow just to have it. Just to have it. I love still lifes. They're so colorful. And let's just jump on in after we sippy.
After we sippy. Well, gosh.
Because this is art.
Day 2 of this.
Day 2 of 5 days. Plus we've got Daenerys Targaryen in the middle of this week. So, woo, it's a week.
Oh, and I have picture-in-picture here.
You have picture-in-picture. So I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to get a number 4 cat's tongue. Right here I have a cat's tongue, number 4. This is exclusive to my brushes. Guess what? You could use a filbert or a number 4 bright. It will be fine. And I'm going to start just sort of baking in my my wonderful, wonderful flowers. So I'm going to take a little of my ultramarine and maybe a little of my quinacridone and make this cool, lovely purple and add some white to it. And I think that's the base that I'm going to sketch these little dudes in on. And I'm going to look at my reference photo when I'm doing this. And I'm going to sketch in when I see. And because I have my background colors, I'll be able to easily, you know, work that out. You may have your traceable on there that you were like, oh, I've got my traceable, because I think drawing is awesome, but it's not the only way people art. And there's wonderful drawing courses out there, so I highly recommend you take it up as a practice. But it is not the gateway to all creativity. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at, let me see if I can describe this to you, because it might help you when you're trying to draw. So right here, I'm following this outer contour line. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
A lot of times when people try to draw, they take in the whole object. I don't. I edit in my mind. And I'm following just this outer contour line here. That's the outer edge of the object. And I'm going to try to map it on my canvas, just like I was mapping. So I'm like, if this curves up, I curve up. If it indents in, I indent in. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Right? So I see a little flick out here. So I'm going to copy that, and then there's an indent in right? And then there's this nice little curve out. I'm going to just be going along, sort of getting those little shapes in. And I will put my background back in as I feel I need it, you know, after I sketch this in with my weird little purple paint. I've got another little contour line of a petal that comes up here and swings in, and its little friend. And to the degree that I can just sort of sketch this out, that's what I'm going to do. Just paying attention to those outer lines. There's a nice little leaf happening right here, right? So this guy has a little leaf that comes down, and then next to it, following the contour line, I'm going to curve this outer petal. And all these petals seem to have an indent. So even if I was doing this in one stroke painting, right, I'd still have to pay attention to the shape of the petal. I like this petal down here because it swoops out. Swoopy petals are very interesting to me always. And it has a weird little tail out where it has a point. But again, just like we eat a whale, even though we don't eat whales because that would be awful, but just like you would eat a whale, one bite at a time. You just draw it in one little section at a time. And I'm sketching this in with paint. And why am I not freaked out? Because acrylic paint dries and it'll be okay.
Can we say that about cake, though?
Can we say that about cake? What cake?
Well, you eat your cake one bite at a time.
You can totally say that about cake, but let me tell you, the cake will get ate.
There's no problem eating the cake.
The cake will get ate, and we're trying to not eat cake right now, aren't we? Trying to make good life choices. Now, even though I know my grapes are going to be coming over here, I'm going to bring my flower back a bit because I know I have to paint my grapes in. So I might as well paint them further than I need them so that that's not such a problem. I've got a smaller little petal here, right? And I know I've got a little weird petal shape back here that I'm going to talk about. There isn't any real pink there. And then there's this weird flower shape over here, over my glass. And so we did this yesterday. We painted our glass down a little further than we needed it. And then, you know, if we've got to come back in with some background, we can do that, right? So we've got this petal coming up here. Just the outer edges of it. Let's bring that down. And then it had a little friend curve back. It had a little curve back. It's a holler back petal. Okay, I know that was sort of weird.
It's early in the morning for
holler back petals?
For brains to be making
holler back jokes?
I guess so.
So I'm just going to paint that in. So all those weird wiggly little lines let me know where I'm planning on putting my petals. And that lets me know I'm going to be resolving some background around here. And I'm going to be bringing in some stuff here and through here. And that's all we've got to accomplish today. Not that much. Not that much. So back up goes my reference photo to its little spot. But you guys kind of understand what my thinking is when I'm sketching this stuff in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to have another sippy sippy. Here's a little trick about long art projects, of which I have a lot of experience. Pace yourself. It's so easy to get into this zone where you're like, I've got to do this for the next 8 hours. But there is a value, a real value to having a painting segment of your day, an hour, a half hour, 2 hours, and then resting, going away, and digesting the project. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally.
Everything's about eating today. Am I hungry? Digest your project. Eat your whale. Eat your cake.
Well, you know, I think that what you're saying, though, is very true, though, is you have to take breaks to let your brain kind of process on things.
I think so.
That's true of art, too, because you'll paint stuff and Cinnamon will go away and come back and go, oh, I've got this really great idea about, whatever she was working on.
Yeah, I'm going to start working in my background. I'm taking a little of my green over to my burnt umber.
What brush are you using?
I'm still on this number 4 cat's tongue. You could use your number 4 bright. Guys, just use a brush that lets you work the space comfortably.
Okay.
Right? I enjoy my brushes and my tools a great deal. I'm going to put a little of this here. So as I'm painting my flowers, it feels more resolved. Right? I'll take that down. I'm going to bring this through here. I'm just saying in this area I need to have some thought about what I'm doing. And I know I've got a really weird little dark leaf. Dark leaf. It feels like a comic, doesn't it? Dark leaf. I'm going to add a little of my burnt sienna to my green and maybe a smidge of scotch of my yellow. And I know that I've got this sort of weird bunch of leaf down here. So I'll sketch that in, kind of coming down this outer edge. And it has a little point here. So I'm just, again, still doing what I did yesterday, which is breaking in the rough shapes, saying that these objects are here, that I am thinking about them. Let's get a little white into that, and into that yellow, a little white. But also, just thinking about how all this has to be. This leaf is still out of focus. And what's going to make the leaves that we do in front in focus is if we keep this dark and out of focus, it's going to make the ones we're trying to put in focus feel more focused. Focus. So I'm just kind of resolving that. And there's some little, that's a little too light. So let's get our dark color again with our green. We want to see it, but we don't want to see it. It's a weird deal. Yeah, right about there. So we're going to put some leaf. I like this because this is giving me some nice leaf shapes. Just right here. And that's going to be really nice on our, I'm going to stroke along the bottom here. And just say, hey, there's this thing here, but we don't really see it that well. We're not real sure. We're not real sure. And I'm going to get a little of my blue into all this mix and my brown. See how it's getting real dark? We're going chromatic. And I'm going to just put this dark color back here again. Oh, yeah. And this is very similar to what I have up here, if we remember. And just make sure that when I come to put my fabric in, I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to put a little of that dark, dark color right there underneath my flower petals. I can come back real easy. I just want to make sure that I've got the values that I've got to have.
Yeah.
Here. So I'm just deepening the values. So this is actually painting the negative space, right? I'm paying attention to the negative space. So this is my object. This is my positive space. All of the empty space around it is my negative space. Less obvious sometimes in a highly objectified still life because, you know, we're seeing all the objects. I'm going to add a little Alizarine Crimson in here to go even more chromatically black. Because we're not really using any black in this. And I'm going to make sure that I've got some very deep value here that we're working into. This will really help us feel like this is real. So a lot of times we get so into the object that we're painting, we forget to take and pay attention to what's around it. And make sure that's working as well. So I'm just making sure, even up here, adding a little bit of that dark value. I don't have to go much further because, again, I'm only working the flowers today. But I just want to make sure that as I'm progressing in my still life, I'm still paying attention to the little details.
Well, I'd like to pass along some messages from the community.
I would love to hear some messages from community. Hi, community. I'm mixing alizarin and blue and brown, making a black without black, like you do when you paint.
I can't tell you how many people are here wishing you a happy Teacher's Day, Cinnamon. There are
what? It's Teacher's Day?
Apparently today is Teacher's Day, so because there's almost 300 people out here wishing you happy Teacher's Day. So
hi, 300. So we only have 300 who've continued on with the still life.
We're actually just under 300 right now. So, but it's early in the morning. What I've noticed is that yesterday it was just sort of one of these things where they all trickled in there.
Like, I'm willing to paint today. It could be good for me. Well, thank you for my happy Teacher's Day, and to every teacher out there in the world, all over planet Earth. If you have chosen to make teaching and sharing knowledge your primary mission in life, high fives.
Yeah.
Because seriously, that actually helps the species. A lot. So thank you so much for making the world a better place by teaching. Because I just think that's one of the things that we can do. Healing, teaching, hoping.
And I'd like
arting.
to thank all of our community who've been brave enough to try this crazy thing out with us.
Oh my goodness. I'll tell you what, this was such a crazy wild plan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, I've just mixed my green and my brown a little bit, and I'm just going to come along this edge just a smidge. You see this, and I'm making this really like, I'm on the edge of my little brush here, and I'm going to just make this little meandery line right here.
All right.
Just that's it. That's it. I can't wait to see. I've seen some of the still lifes go up that people have been painting along in real time.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, if you're not painting along in real time, don't stress about it. You can paint at your own pace.
Oh.
So I'm going to get a little of my quinacridone in my ultramarine again. This time a little warmer in it, and I'm going to get into my white. So you were saying something, babe?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try because it's scrolling up. Shadara?
Shadara!
No. I may have added a
You were
vowel.
wrong.
I may have added a vowel there.
You added a vowel.
Shraddha? Okay, so anyway, she says that in India, September 5th is Teacher's Day. So that's why there's so many people wishing you Happy Teacher's Day in here. Is it not in the States, but over in India. And I think in perhaps part of Europe, because I notice a lot of our European friends are echoing those same
Well, this
accords.
is a useful holiday, because I don't want to start nothing crazy, but I'm kind of embarrassed by Columbus Day. I'll tell you all just a little bit. And so I'm gonna take on your Happy Teacher's Day, which is a super awesome holiday and involves all joy.
Yes.
So I'm in for that. John's like, oh, please, not the Columbus Day soapbox. Which I have been on for years before Snopes was on about it. All right, so I'm mixing.
But we now have Indigenous People Day that's being replaced with.
Only like in some states.
We'll continue to push reform.
We're gonna push for that forward, or just it's just something. Anyways, yay, Teacher's Day!
Teacher's Day.
So I'm taking some of my lighter values. You can see that I'm just mixing this value set. And you remember we have our black and white. If you were here with me yesterday, right? We have our black and white, so we can go, how is this on our value?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the right dark or lightness for our picture?
Mm.
That gray, sometimes when you see color, the color tricks you. It's a tricky thing. I'm going to take a little bit of this nice color here to the edge of this petal. Just working this along. You know, just coming along the edge of this petal because this is a little bit lighter. And remember, you can glaze, you can blend. It's going to be layers because we're painting this, like we said in the title, more realistically. And the trick to realism is not necessarily talent or some unbelievable skill set that
ephemeral skill set.
I mean, there's skills involved. Absolutely. Yeah. Credit to every hyper-realist artist, but a lot of it is just patience, time, and grade.
It's not magic, it's practice.
Yes, as my friend Zoe says.
Yes, she's
Zoe
awesome.
Hung says, practice, not magic.
Yeah.
Because her students will be like, you're like magic. She's like, no, it's practice, not magic. She would be my favorite art teacher.
Yes.
I swear.
She'd be that favorite art teacher who you would like hate while you're in school, but
no,
love when
I
you
would
got
have
out.
loved her. Every time she yelled at the class, I would have been like giggling inside.
Yeah. She is the iconic, awesome.
Yeah, like Debbie from Fame.
Yeah.
This is where you start paying for fame and sweat and blood on the floor. I'm that kid who's like, yay, it's blood and sweat on the floor. All right, I'm going to come over here and add a light value. But, Zoe's right. It is. Zoe Hung has a channel, by the way, on YouTube. It is practice, not magic.
Now, Katie was asking about paint and about how far you should get with your load of paint. And that's a complicated question, I know.
I almost feel like I need to make a video about this now because I am having such a different experience than so many people. I'm coming back with a little bit of white and I'm just brushing this down. So the thing is that I'm not messing with you when I say you can paint with anything. I've seen people paint with dirt now. There's a really good artist who paints with dirt on the back of your car window and he's super good. So don't ever let materials limit you. But the reason I was like so excited that I could talk my brush partner, right, into making a cat's tongue is I knew what this tool would do for me. And I'm
Right.
super excited about it. It's not that I couldn't paint with my finger like Iris Scott or I couldn't paint with another tool. The magic of art is certainly not in the tool. The tool does help. The paint does help. So if I have a really great paint goes further, right? If I'm on a good canvas, it helps. Then there's also this sort of mixture of how much fluidity do you have to your paint via adding a medium like a glazing medium or water, right? And so what I really need to do is make a video about all of that so you can correct for all the things that are free and then decide if you need to upgrade to correct for what you have going on. Because there's a lot of free corrections like, do you have enough water in the paint? I can't tell you how often I have students and they're like struggling. They're struggling along like in a really hard way. And I come over and I add a little more water to their paint and then it's like they're freed.
So this is interesting. Veronica, she's a teacher in Mexico.
Hi, Veronica.
And she says,
Happy Teacher's Day.
Yeah, well, theirs is September 15th.
Oh, okay, happy early Teacher's Day.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But they get a day off of work and everything. So they get a whole national holiday like Teacher's Day. So that's great that they celebrate that like that.
Well, I'm over here brushing into my glass again, that same light value. I'm trying to get all my lights in right now. Just talking about my lights a little bit as you do. Like you do. Like you do, John.
I know you do.
I do it. I like to do that. I'm going to bring a little of this here. So I'm going to, again, I'm going to be working this. And as I get my darks and highlights in, stuff is really, really going to come together. Super fast. When these come together, it'll come together so fast, you'll be like, wait, what happened? And I'll be like, flower happened, man. Flower. I'm going to start darkening up my world. I'm going to get a little of my, maybe my Alizarine Crimson. That's too dark. And I think for the alizarin, I'm going to go phthalo. Yes. There we go. So I'm going to use a little of my phthalo that I have here into my Alizarine Crimson. And you're going to see I get this sort of grayed out red. There we go. And I'm going to start working some of that value in. Down the center. Not my darkest value yet, not my lightest values yet, just sort of some middle values. Like that you have. What do you have? I don't know. I got to see this petal. Sometimes it's like so much is going on. I don't know if you ever have this experience, but it's easy to feel almost blinded by the totality of the painting. Like it's hard to see everything that's there.
Can't see the forest through the trees.
Cannot see the petals for the petals, man.
Can't see the petals for the petals.
Cannot see the petals for the petals. And that's a thing that can happen to you, right? And so when you're blocking in, you're actually creating a roadmap or a guide post out. So you can be like, I got to get out of here. How the heck do I get out of here? And see, now because I just did this, I realized I left some values unpainted.
You're blinded by the quinacridone.
I'm blinded by the white. Sorry. It happened. This is not going to be Rock of Ages, don't worry.
Although, you know what? That would probably be one of my favorite episodes to produce. Would be a rock opera paint.
You got to get different
episode.
people to come sing. I'll tell you that right now.
We have to get Jazza, definitely.
Oh
to
my
come.
goodness. Yeah, Jazza has to come sing because he can actually
He
sing.
can,
I think Bailey can sing. I know Tanya Barnes can sing. I know a couple people. Mark Muir can sing. I know some people that can sing. I'm not in the crew of singers.
It's funny how many YouTubers are like sing people.
I'm going to get a little of my warmer red as I'm going.
And I say that because I was in the drama department.
Yes, you were.
And all the people who were in choir and choir theater were in a completely different part of and we didn't cross paths very much.
No?
No. There was I wouldn't say a rivalry because, I mean, you were talking about thespians here. So let's
You had a really
practical.
big school. My school was a lot smaller than yours.
Yeah, I did. It was a very big school.
You go to school in San Diego High. It's not a big school. It's a bunch of surfers. It's a bunch of surfers, man. Not that it was safe to be in drama anyways. So you can kind of see how the flowers are starting to
Emerge.
take shape. So I've gotten a little of my warmer red into my mix, and I'm going along. I'm going to mist right now because my palette is drying out.
The magic mister.
Magic mister makes me happy. Do 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 do. Gonna just have to get all these little colors in. The little colors. Just painting them in. Covering that white canvas is the first battleground of the art. On still,
Getting that underpainting in.
Getting that underpainting in, and on still lifes, if you're talking about lowering your blood pressure, dude, these are the jam. These are the jam. I'm going to get a little of this alizarin and a little of my naphthol. And I'm going to come here and be like, no, you need to have this. Nope, it needs to be blue. Let's get some ultramarine and knock that back. Ah, there we go. Do you see that?
Yeah.
No, maybe you didn't. My eyes went, yes, it has been knocked back.
I saw you mix paint. I agree with that. I saw it
I
mixing.
agree with paint being mixed.
And it made a color.
And
it wasn't
made a
there.
color. As it will do.
Well,
Paint will do that, you know.
All the time you mix colors up that I mean, like there was. I remember the other day you were mixing stuff, and I was just like sort of floored by like that you were just like, oh yeah, mix these two colors, and it makes this other one. And I don't even remember what it was.
Just it does that. Color mixing does that. And every artist has their coloring mixing witchery. Okay, I'm still just trying to find spots.
Oh, it was the Merlot. It's when you mix the Merlot color, and I was just like,
the
wow.
Merlot color got everybody.
Yeah, it was when you just like bang and made the purple, and it was cool.
Adding some of that there, and then for sure there's this petal, and then there's this petal here that's kind of coming down. Yeah. See, you're just blocking in these. You're seeing them. You see them in stages. And as you're looking at the picture, you will see more. You will see more. You will see more. Do you see more? You will see more. Back into this grouping. And I'm going to just brush this way. It also helps, you'll notice that I'm doing brush strokes in the directionality of the petal. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I'm going to do is I definitely am going to just keep battling this out. Battle. And, don't kid yourself. You have gone to war. No, you haven't. Don't go to war with your canvas. Let's come here in the center and add a little value here. So everywhere we're adding a dark color, what we're saying is that this is in fold, it's in shadow. Whether we're painting a glass or we're painting these flowers, all we're painting is the lights and darks. I'm adding some of this. I'm just looking for places I can put values. These are helping me find my way out of my painting.
I see.
That's what I want to do, is I want to get out. Now I'm going to get a lot more white because I missed some of my white colors. Like up here, I missed some of my white. And I'm going to come add that back in. Near. Maybe I missed some white there. A little turn. I'm going to come. What do we got going here? Come on, man. Alstroemeria.
Now that you know how to pronounce it, you're like, I'm all about it.
Now I'm going to say its name again. Say my name, say my name.
It's the pink one.
I did it to you. Now that song is in your head the whole day, and it is my fault. We're just trying to sit there and find all the colors and all the edges and all the world. Of all the colors and all the edges and all the world. You had to come into mine.
So
I feel like the butterfly from the last unicorn today.
so Tara was asking, how do you know where to put the values?
If you step away from your color sets, right, and you look at your grayscale, you'll see these are dark gray, these are the lightest gray, this is the darkest gray. So even as you're mixing the reds, the purples, the colors that you're using, this keeps you from getting lost.
Gotcha.
Lost in the color.
So you're. Let me see if I got this right. You're
I'm going to add a
matching
little blue here to my mix.
the.
I'm matching what?
You're matching the hue to the tone in the location.
Yep. Well, no, the toning is adding white to lighten it. Shade is adding dark. I'm matching hue to the value.
Hue. There we go. That's what I was
Hue
looking
to
for.
the value. The value is how light or dark is it?
Right. So that's the word I was looking for.
So sometimes, believe it or not, values can be super similar, but because of the hue, something will pop because this
Right.
is cool and that's warm, even though, like, if I printed out a black and white of this section, these might not look that different.
Right.
But it can really fool you. And then you guys have to remember, at home, we have whole kinds of camera issues that we're always dealing with.
Yeah. So that's probably where we spend the most amount of time is trying to dial in color accuracy between multiple cameras.
Yeah.
And then once we get that done, it's then just accurately reproducing the color.
That's right. You have
mean,
no idea how hard it is.
Blues and greens and reds, they just,
I'm going to come in with, I'm going to use my purple and my alizarin.
light is complicated science.
And it's going to make a very dark color. Grapes are going to be so fun tomorrow. Grapes are going to be so easy. I love it when I get to do grapes.
Grapes.
It's like whenever you see a teacher put grapes in a still life or apples, you're like, going to be a break. So I'm just going to add some deep values here now. Because again, what are we doing? Making sure that our negative space is rich and considered.
Okay, so I have to wonder if there's some certain amount of like culture here where, because teachers who build still lifes must know what they don't want to paint in the still lifes. So they've got that students in the room and they're sitting there thinking about this going, now I remember when I was in school, I hated the grapes, so I'm going to add more grapes to this painting.
Well, then my teachers hated like Metal Gears and stuff from the trash bin. I had the greatest amount of my still lifes in my art career in art school was with women. Actually, I won't even say her name because I'm about to say a bunch of other stuff. She was a little crazy. And she would do stuff like, just come in and say random kind of amorphous things like, art is art and you are art and we are all art. Take the trash can, dump it over, put a lamp on it. Now be art. I will come back in 2 hours and see how you are doing.
You're like, I paid for this class.
That's when I got better at math because I was trying to calculate how much every day, every hour, every minute of my college experience was costing me as I was painting a bucket of trash.
Well, and conversely, when I was at sculpture, when I took all those sculpture.
Oh yeah, at LaSalle.
Like every class was so deep in technical knowledge that you couldn't
LaSalle's
miss.
another level.
Yeah, you couldn't miss one, and it was like it was like sort of the opposite of like, here's how you construct art with science.
No, LaSalle is not joking. If you're in Houston and you're looking at LaSalle is not joking.
It's awesome. It's
awesome.
One of the best schools I've ever been to.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, worth its weight in whatever. I don't know, sculpture. They got a lot of stuff.
In bronze.
Their foundry is so exciting.
Yeah.
This is not related to the still life. You will paint many still lifes there. Their still life there was a bunch of colored glass.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just this giant table of colored glass that was lit, and then you had to frame out your still life and figure out how to paint that. That was actually really useful.
Yeah.
Did my head get smaller? All right. So now we have the flowers blocked in. Hopefully we can kind of see them. Can we see them?
Yes.
We can see
They're being
them.
blocked in.
So let's think about a petal. So this petal here, to me, looks a little more blue. And I'm going to get a little of my quinacridone to warm that blue. But I still want it to be blue. Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm almost there. See how I'm going by increments? That way I can make micro adjustments as I need. And I think I'm going to work this one right here. And I'm going to just start to talk about what is happening in here.
Now, what type of...
That's too dark.
What type of white and colored pencils do you use for drawing on your black and or white/toned canvases? Is it charcoal or pastel pencils?
Okay, I tend to use a charcoal pencil. You could use a pastel pencil. You could use a watercolor pencil. What you want to test is that it doesn't stain your paint.
Mm.
And that's kind of a pencil by pencil, chalk by chalk thing. You know, because some pastels are so pigmented that they can stain your paint. Because they're so quality. So you can see I'm sort of putting in this little blue value, and I'm curving my brush strokes to reflect the petal shape, right? It's got a blush at the tip here, and then it's got a blush as it goes back in, but then this is kind of blued over here as well. So let's think about this blued area again. Again, following the fabulous, fabulous curve of this. You know, make sure that everything is covered. Now I'm going to probably get into my, I'm going to say my naphtha, but I haven't rinsed out my brush. And I'm going to come in the center and again start defining that. Just lightly on the tip. See how I'm just doing these small, tentative, delicate brush strokes? I find that there is some value to when you're painting a thing. If it's delicate, you're delicate. I'm going to add a little of this color right here, even though I'll come back with a highlight in a minute. And then maybe just dry brush a smidge of this warmth right here. Smidge. Smidge it. Interestingly enough, I'm trying to think how I want to gray this out. So I've got this green in the center. So I'm going to take my cad yellow over to my green. But I'm going to get my green into my flower color if I can. I'm going to gray it with my red. And it's still lighter in the yellow. But it's not a saturated, bright, vibrant yellow, right? It's grayed, and that's why it's fantastic to come in with your red to gray it. Now get a bunch of white. I think we're nearly there. Nearly. Look for the yellow. A little more yellow. And so I'm just trying to find the center of my flower. There we go. Do we see it?
Oh, yeah.
There, we got it. There's the center of that. That's a very important weird little color that's in here. Ah, nailed it. So sometimes it takes a minute to find a color. Take that time if you need it. And while I have this color mixed, I'm going to come up here and add it up in here where I know I've got it again. Sound good?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be important. Where do I have this color before I, take it away? This petal right here has a little of it at the tip. So, don't ignore it. And there's some right here. There we go. So whatever you're painting, if you see little things like the green, and then some of it's the darker green, so I can come get my darker color on my brush that I had, add a little of the red to it that was darker, and, add some of that as well, like right here. See?
Yeah.
Little touch at this petal tip, little touch at that petal tip. So a couple values. I'm going to get a little of that darker green on here. There we go. Right here. Working it out, aren't we?
Yeah.
A little bit right there. And actually it almost goes into the purple, this green. Gets a little purple. So I'm literally going to add purple to it.
So, Hasi would like to know, is this the speed you would normally paint at?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little faster if I'm not talking. I can speed up.
No. They were just wondering, like, if you're trying to rush through this or if this is just your normal pace.
Oh, this is just my normal pace. I'm actually trying to not rush through. I'm trying to relax so that you can relax. Because your still life should help you be still.
Should be a mellow time.
Yeah, like if I had a chill out spa facility or care facility or something, I would have still lifes for my peeps all the time. I would. I think it's really beneficial to well-being. All right, let's keep painting this petal because we have lots to say about it, don't we?
Yes.
So we're going to get back into our white and we're going to add a little of just a smidge of our naphthol to it to warm it up. And we're going to just be coming here and take that around. And then a little bit on this edge. Let's think about that right here. And then there's this fabulous sort of little highlight up the center of the flower. And that's quite nice. I'm not really ready yet. I'm going to put some light back here because believe it or not, there's this weird backlighting in flowers. Because sometimes the light shines through them in a weird space before you put the stamens in. And I'm going to just come here and work this outer edge. Just build up this petal. This is how we build up petals. So again, if you were to pay for a still life class, you would come in over several days observing a subject. It's why certain fruits and objects are picked. I mean, now you can do photography, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But a lot of times the classical subjects were picked because they didn't rot that fast. So the artist had a chance to get some studies and some introspection done. While they were trying to figure it out. Back into my blue. I'm blue, da ba dee da ba da, dee da ba da. Let's be all blue right here, right?
Yeah.
Let's be blue here. Brushing that back. But not all of it, just some of it. I'm going to take a little of my, I think my Alizarine in my purple. Alizarine, I always think Slytherin when I think Alizarine. There we go. Getting there. Redder than that though. Getting there, getting there. Getting there, getting there. Just building up some thoughts.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Just building up some thoughts. Not a thought like, might live in your neighborhood, but a thought nonetheless. Sorry. I'm going to thin this a bit by tipping my brush in water. And then, see, not a lot of water, but I'm thinning it off my brush so it'll come off my brush. I'm going to add some little dashes. Is that nice?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's nice.
Looks really cool. They just pop right together.
They do. Now I'm going to add a lot of white to my brush. Make sure I come here and keep lightening that up. Back into this. Even here. Just lightening things up as they need lightened up. And then you can come in and darken them up as they need darkening up. So easy. Just pulling a darker petal right here. Let's just pull in a darker petal. So you can see why you don't necessarily see a lot of this type of tutorial on YouTube because they're time intensive.
Mm-hmm.
But they're so worth doing, and it's not something a beginner can't do. It's just you wouldn't know how much time to invest in it. How long should you be looking at this versus this? You wouldn't have any idea. I'm going to wipe my brush off completely and grab a little just white. I'm going to come right over the top here. A little of my bright white. Maybe pull in a little here. Just loving that. Touch this edge here and here. Starting to get petals, right? Let me sippy. Look at my painting. Huh.
There we go. Looking good.
It's looking good. We have some flowers that are starting to take shape in front of our grapes. And you can kind of see why this is as much in a segment as all of this. So sometimes objects or subjects are deceptively complicated or simple, right? And I see a lot of times in new students them avoid a subject because perceptually they believe it's complicated when actually it's a super simple thing to paint.
Yeah.
Or dive into something where I'm like, oh, that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like stuck there for like 3 weeks going, help me get out. I'm so stuck in this painting. And that's really about just not having experience diving into a bunch of different subject matters to go, oh, cantaloupe. That's a whole big headache I never knew would happen. Pomegranate. Nope. And actually, I love pomegranates. I love it. I love painting pomegranates. It's like my fave, especially if they're broken open. Okay. I need to tighten this up, man. My hat is sliding.
Is it?
Yes. So I'm going to move over here to this petal. Yes. It's so slidey today. My hat is slidey. It's making me crazy. Making some bluish purple again. More blue than purple. Just keep going along. Trying to find that value. Oh, that's nice. And I'm going to just work this little guy out. Not fun to do. And I see a little of this value coming around the edge here. And then we'll just dust down over the pink because we don't want to take that pink out. That pink is righteous. That pink is wonderful. And then maybe pop a shadow up the center of the petal. And then I'm going to grab a lot more white. And just pull that back in. Like that, pulling back in. And maybe just here at the tip, getting a lot more white. Pigment is on my brush, so it's not like I'm ever putting out pure pigment because my brush is, you know, definitely weighted, definitely something. You know, just working that out. Just working it out. Trying it out. Let's get some pink and purple on there. So we've got some stuff happening here, which we've started to put in. We can get a little glaze of this and kind of come in here and... So one thing that you can do is you can take a color over to your glazing medium, right? And start to create a thin, transparent glaze over it.
Oh, yeah.
It's very helpful to your painting journey. I'm going to glaze here too. So glazing is another technique we love in our still lifes.
Now, why is it you like the glazing?
Because it lets what's underneath shine through, and it's another way of creating soft visual blends. And you need those.
And so
to create atmospheric perspective. See how that depth the petal? Depth it. We need to depth it.
So this sort of answers a question that Crystal was just sort of asking. How do you blend the colors to get a shine or shade on the flower petals? And you're kind of doing that right now to put a shade on them.
To put a shade on them.
And I guess you just use white to put that highlight on it.
You put white to put a highlight on it. Might get into zinc white if you need it to be a very translucent kind of highlight. So if we put out zinc white, it gives us a very translucent effect, right? So if we put out some zinc white, which we have for our still life anyways, And then when you get into your, say, purples, so you come over here and you make your little purple that you can make. There we go, it's back. When you get into your zinc white, you can see it's a little different in nature from other times. See?
Oh yeah.
Very different. A lot of floral painters live and breathe zinc white, especially in the acrylic space. Though I do believe that they're pretty fond of it too in the I'm just getting this little flower to come to life. That's all I'm trying to do, is get this little flower to come to life. See, the zinc doesn't change the nature of the color that you mix it in very much, and it's so transparent that it's like a glaze too. So you can work a lot of zinc white to your benefit. See?
Oh yeah.
Zinc is powerful stuff, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you could be like, oh, I got to really cool that down because it's under the other leaf. So let's cool that down and push it under the other leaf. How do we do that? Well, we have to create a very light shadow. Zinc really can help me do that, push that petal back.
Yeah.
And I can be like, oh, I need a little of my purple into my ultramarine. Get zinc on it. Even glaze, and then now you're cooking. Now you're cooking with fire.
That's looking really good.
Yeah, you just keep pushing. You're just be here as long as you need to be here, and not a second more. Be here as long as you need to be here, but not a second more.
There's an
So I'm
interesting
going to take
question.
okay, I'd love to answer an interesting question while I go along with all of this.
So Miss Kimberly was asking, can I use It's a crazy question, but if you don't have any other brushes, can you use makeup brushes?
Makeup brushes work better with pastels and watercolors than acrylics because acrylics are so heavy. So what I would say is if you're using your makeup brushes, I'm glazing here with some green.
Don't use it on your face again.
No, you're pretty much done with the face. Face is done.
Yeah.
And two, use it with softer, lighter products. A lot of watercolor brush companies also make makeup brushes. Weird thing people don't know. So another thing that you can do when you're trying to pull your petals up is you can get the zinc white. And it's very different than the titanium white, and then it will lighten things without deadening things.
No.
See that right there?
Yeah.
How that's very petally?
So zinc white is sort of translucent, and titanium white is very opaque.
Yeah. And pigmented.
What about mixing white?
Mixing white is like a zinc white. Read the labels on some of the mixing white, because some of them you're not allowed to put down the drain.
So mixing whites they're more complicated.
Can be. Not necessarily. It's a company by company problem. If that makes sense. So see how we're getting this all here? We're getting this all here. I'm going to get into my purple and my blue. There we go. More blue than purple. And I'm going to start pulling some shadows or elements to help the petals exist separately from each other. See how that's coming? Very softly with this deep color. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Now we're starting to have a flower shape. Let's pull a little shadow right at the center of this guy. Let's fold it. See how we're folding it by just creating that small amount of shadow. How's it looking in my main screen? Looking
Really
so
good.
good.
Yeah.
Can you come tighten my hat?
Yeah, I'll see if I can do that.
My hat is making me so unhappy. Yeah, I'm like having one of those days. I'm just trying to pull some shape make sure that I'm creating sort of petaling thing. I think what it is the yeah, that's perfectly good. All right, so now I'm getting that sort of in there, and I can start putting some detail on this flower, right? Because it's starting to come to life. It's starting to take shape. It's starting to be real.
We can see your other eye now.
You can see my other eye now. So there's a bunch of these little, it's like the alizarin and a little of the purple, right? There's a bunch of these little dots around the painting. And we like them, so let's make sure that we talk about them. Let's make sure that we very lightly talk about those elements, because without them, they're not really, doesn't really feel like what we've got, does it? We need these little lines to say that this is Alstroemeria. I'm going to say that all day. Yep. I know, not fast, but effective. So see, I'm just doing the lines now. This is the dark value. So there's a couple things happening in this in art terms, right? There's the values, which is how light or dark something is. There's the brush directionality, and there's implied textures. And these lines are in the implied textures and directionality thing, because they talk a little bit about the direction of the petal and the folds. They help inform us a little bit. So they're definitely not something that you want to skip over as you're going. There, it's just totally coming together. So just so you know, sometimes I get into painting and I'm like, did I forget how to paint? We all do. We all sometimes will get into a work and be like, I don't really know what my thinking was here.
Now, are you using a glazing medium there, or are you just lightly...
Okay, for the paints I'm using tend to be transparent anyways.
Ah.
And there is glazing medium in my brush. So all these things are coming together to play in what's happening.
Now, this still...
all this work, and I know I'm going to be like tapping out on this. I have to put these little stamens in. Ah!
So if you were a beginner, is this a still life that you could take on?
If you have painted a little bit, you're going to want to know how to dry brush and blend. You're going to want to know how to load your brush, and you're going to want to know some terms like warm colors, cool colors. If you're like if you've done about 10 paintings, I would say this is doable. This is what we call two hoots. So it's an intermediate beginner, right? Like you're not like fresh to the paint. Right? But you're not like, hey, I'm not really sure how many layers is in that painting, and you're not like, you don't look at a painting and just like clock, break it down. You're confused still as to how it's constructed. That's kind of where I measure my two hoot space, if that makes sense. I'm grabbing a little of my, I'm going to put the smidge of my now skinning yellow on here. Don't want much, just into this, and I'm going to come and put in some stamens. So there's like a little one here, and I'm using my zinc here because I want it to be slightly transparent and very delicate. I find these types of plant structures to be super delicate. I don't know about you guys, but that's just me. So I want them in here, but I want them to be very, very slight. And we're going to get a little of this, maybe quinacridone, just a smidge. And some white. We need it to be actively blue, because these are actively blue. And we'll put some of these here. They're just like a little seed shape. See them? There you go. Just a little of those. And one of them has got a little darkness onto it. It's dark. Hello, darkness, my old friend. So I'll just use purple there to say this is dark. See how that is? And then you can come along the inside of your very delicate little lines. Here you go. All right. How is that? How are we doing? I feel like we're doing really good. Just a couple more flowers, and then we've done it. We painted, hey babe, We painted our front realistic flower. Are we ready to put in the rest of our realistic flowers? It's kind of tripping you out. It's like a lot of layers and it's some crazy color mixes you might not have known, but it's doable. So we've got our green in here. Let's work out this petal.
These are really coming together.
Yeah, they do. The rest of this will come together pretty fast. You know, and a lot of painters will actually just do this front one highly realistically and get all loose with these, but we're going to still kind of talk about these more. We need to talk about them. Let's gossip about them.
Talk about the flowers.
Talk about the flowers. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. I'm fine. I'm like, today, I am the day that I'm going to be messing with everybody. Let's get into our zinc with this blue, right? Because that's so fun to do. It's so fun to do to get into the zinc with the blue. Look at that going. Just so nice. So nice, so nice, so nice. More of that up here. That cool value up here. Loving the zinc. Zinc is, I feel guilty, John, I'll tell you. Anytime I do anything where you guys have to maybe go buy paint, huge guilt.
Yeah.
Because I recognize that for most people this is a hobby. It's, you know, not a full-time, you know, job. So I understand that the budget's a big deal. And so I try not to recommend paint colors just for giggles. They have to have real purpose in your kit.
Yeah.
Help you. And not just help you in my lessons. I actually look at what everybody else is teaching. And I try to recommend things that you can use in somebody else's class or somebody else's, you know, workshop.
Now, have you been just using that same brush this entire time?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a lot of folks that were asking, like, you know, they're you know.
I have been using this brush this entire time. I'm gonna go get some naphthol. A little white of the zinc white. I'm gonna come in here with a little of this naphthol and the zinc white. Can I lighten? Can I warm that? I don't know. Ooh, that's nice. I'm gonna warm that with a little yellow. Why? Because it pleases me. It just pleased me, and that's why I did it.
Pleases me.
It does. I'll add a little of the warmth there because it pleases me. I'm so weird. I'm so weird. Yeah, so I just haven't really moved off this brush in any way. I get some more zinc, which has now become my star for these flowers because it makes the job easier for me, to be real honest. All right. Pulling that tip in there, just working that value set. Get some more white here on my brush and try to work that flower out the rest of the way. Just paying attention to the little tones, the little personalities that each petal has. Each petal has a personality.
You talk about it on there.
Yeah, and the bigger you paint your still lifes and your flowers, the more awesomer it gets.
It's true. Seriously. I know. I've seen it. I have a giant painting over here hanging on the
wall. of a lake. Bigger it is, the more awesomer it gets, but especially with still lifes. The awesomer it gets. Still lifes to me are super awesome. They give you so much opportunity as an artist to work things out. Like, it's like being a trapeze artist, but all of a sudden getting the net. Isn't that nice here? And this is the zinc. This is the power of the zinc. You could always thin your white with glaze. But this is powerful stuff, isn't it? So when I come through, I'll show you something. If I use the zinc white, so when I come through with titanium, like a pop of titanium, like maybe on an edge here, look what that does.
It's just like, wow. It almost just, you know.
Mm-hmm. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is how, you know how we all love Mr. Kincaid or Bob Ross, and we talk about how their stuff glows, or we talk about oil painters, the glowing oil painters things. This is the kind of nonsense that creates it. I'm going to put some of this right here. Now if I'm crazy and I pull out a little of my cad yellow, let me rinse my brush out quite good. Just show you something. Because this is, you know, maybe this is something you might know as a more advanced student, but it's not hard. I'm going to take a little of my yellow, and I might have been more inclined to use Indian yellow, or not Indian yellow, nickel yellow, Naples yellow.
Yeah.
But I've got a little on here. I'm going to just make sure that I've got a little warmth to that. And to maybe the edge of this one. See that?
Yeah.
The little yellow is a big deal. Makes this now pop, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Against the world it's in. Here we go, here we go. Just on the edge of this brush. What's that doing now? Oh my goodness, powerful stuff. So that's what we're doing is if we use the zinc and then we pop with titanium in clouds, in flowers, and in glass, water, you get this big vroom effect. If that's exciting to you.
Yes.
It's exciting to me, so I'm going to work on this petal now. And get hair out of my face. So back to I'm going to put some more of my zinc white out because clearly I'm loving that today. As my paint is skinning. Skinning paint. Oh, skinning on this. This is just, glop. There we go. That's fine. I'm like, ew. So see how I touch that with my fingers? One of the reasons it's important to read your paint tubes is some things you can be allergic to. They give you the information on there, and it'll tell you if you ever have to worry. Because even though acrylics in general are non-toxic,
What you doing there?
I'm just trying to get a cap back on.
Oh, okay. Because I was like,
Forever.
Oh, there you go. Okay. I was like,
In an
we just couldn't see it.
embarrassingly awkward way that's just making the whole video lag.
Oh, no, we just couldn't see what was going on. I was like, what are you? Maybe I.
And
do
I
you
just
need some
wiped
help?
paint off in my hand
That's
awkwardly.
It's okay. You have brushes.
I have brushes. All right, so I'm going to pull out a little of my blue.
Towels wipe off on. I mean.
And I'm going to get a little of my quinacridone. And some of my zinc. If I have too much pigment on with the zinc, it can overpower it really easily, so I definitely like to wipe off. So I have just the right amount, like Goldilocks. All right, let's come and paint on this one right here. I'm going to just add a little of this. And I'm going to flick this back because this petal kind of goes back. So here we go. We're having a blast. Get a little of my just zinc and come here over this. Just pulling that in. And maybe down. Let's wipe off, get a little of our naphthol, a little of our zincs. Let's come up. Petal that, petal that, petal that. Petal, 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 petal. Petal. Where's your petal? Petal, petal everywhere. These flowers will never wilt. They will never let you down. They will always treat you right. So I'm going to get a little of my alizarin. Maybe tone it with my purple a smidge. I definitely want it more red. Red, 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 red. Come in here and have a talk about some stuff. Create this division here. See how we are?
Uh-huh.
Creating those divisions. Divisions are important. We've got our nice little green there. Let's put in our dots that matter, right? Our little lines that matter. I'm going to add a little glazing to it. This is to improve my flow. Make sure it's more red than purple. And I'm going to start dotting it up. Dot, 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 dot. See? Just dotting it up.
Yeah.
It helps. Let's dot these up.
This is just coming together really nicely.
It just does, man. Well, I've got this. I might as well really, because this has got such a deep value set back here. And I'm going to come along this petal with this dark value. I am. Even though it may not even necessarily be there. I'm going to come along the edge of this petal, see? How that pops the petal in front of it up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty awesome stuff. Now I'm going to get some of my zincs, some of my zinkers. Come down. Defining this little guy here. Isn't he lovely? He needs some more Alizarines right in the center here. Pulling back.
Oh.
And I can get some dachshunds just right on my brushes. I don't know why I'm talking so weird. Well, and I'm just going to pull it back because I'm having fun. How's everybody doing?
They're really enjoying this. Joe was just saying how he appreciated that this class has, you're demonstrating a lot of really important skills and techniques that you normally have to pay a lot for in different classes.
Yes.
So this is, he really appreciates
just to
it.
charge for it.
And just like, this is great. So, and I like watching this stuff too, because it's really interesting to see all the way that the shading, and if you look at those little flowers, they look so cool.
Well, and I think it's important
together
on acrylic to know that up close. So here's the trick about acrylic, is that where oils kind of has us a little bit, though with mediums and techniques and time and space, right? We can absolutely keep up with it, is oils does soft edges awesome.
Yeah.
And a lot of realism or landscape techniques or floral techniques is kind of dependent on soft edges. But acrylic rocks a hard edge like nobody's business. That's our secret sauce. So what you want to do when you're an acrylic painter is lean into what your medium is great about and then learn the techniques, methods, things like zinc white, things like blending mediums, and ways that you can create soft edges through wet into wet blending or dry brushing, because both work, right? Because back from this painting, and I'll do a lot of pieces and people go, is that an oil? I'm like, no, it's an acrylic. And they're like, you can't do that with acrylic. You can do any technique with acrylic. It is like literally made to mimic all other, it's like the species of paint.
Right.
No, it's not. It's a very friendly paint. It's not about world domination. No, maybe other artists feel it is. They're everywhere. Those acrylic artists are everywhere. They're so everywhere. All right, we got this little petal, we're going to just talk about a smidge.
Okay.
Simply because, and I'm just going to pick up some of my color here, and a little of my zinc white and some of my color here, because it's sort of behind everything. So I'm going to come along here, and again, see how I'm using this dark value to create some space between these two. We're going to come right up the center.
Now,
and it's very soft, isn't it? I'm going to get some zincs. Get some zincs, guys.
Now, as you're working this, I guess these objects in the foreground are more in focus than the ones in the background.
Yeah. So see how these are sort of soft,
and
these are more in focus. There's a leaf we're going to spend a whole bunch of time with. This lemon is going to be so much fun. But these objects will be the most in focus. This is supposed to be the focus of our painting, and the way we focus objects in a painting says what our depth of focus is.
Gotcha. And you've also talked in the past about how sometimes you bring focus emotionally in a still life,
right?
And that's a different conversation.
That is this still life is not symbolic that much. So when the still life artist heard the other artists, there's always this thing where some artists say, "But that's not really art. That's not very impressive. That's not very this. This is the lowest rung of art." So some of the still life artists, I feel understandably, took an objection to that commentary and said, no, we can be as meaningful and as extraordinary as all you other little snowflakes. So what they did is they started putting, and if you remember, Flame Gremlin sent us the Veritas book.
Oh, yeah, I have it. Yeah.
But they started, especially in the Dutch and the Renaissance, putting messages and meaning into the still lifes. Deep symbolic meaning about life, death, religion, belief, politics. So I'm just taking this like darker purple and like feathering this out here.
And then those paintings went on to hang on people's walls where those messages and thoughts and...
Because while it was the lowest form of art, it has historically throughout all of history been the most collected form of art. What people like to live with in their homes every day is a beautiful still life. More than anything else.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Still Life wins. Just saying. I mean, I love Francis Bacon, like a lot, but I couldn't live with one of those paintings in my home. It would freak me out.
Yeah.
It would just absolutely do me in. All right, so I'm going to come back with a little zinc there in this upper spot right here. Just right over. See how that's very nice?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a person who loves to paint flowers in acrylic, please invest in some zinc. And I do have some preferences in company and quality. Having used a lot, I really like Goldens. That's just a feeling that I have from used a lot. You'll find artists will have opinions about paint who has great pigment colors and stuff like that, and that's just how he is.
Mm-hmm.
Now my titanium white highlights will probably stay focused up here, and they might be a little bit here, but that petal, and maybe even, it depends on what petals I'm trying to say are important, may not have as much, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So I'm going to get a little of this, and I weirdly feel it's a little warm, so I'm going to add a little of my, and then I'm going to add a little magenta to it, finding the color that I like. Getting the glaze on it that I like. You can add a little purple in there till you get there. I just go till I get there. I'm like, I just go till I get there.
Mix till you get it right.
Mix till I get it right. And I'm just going to pull this down here, underneath here. Right, because this is going to show underneath. There is a little bit of this on the curve of this petal, so I might as well put that there. I find that there's a little bit right here on the curve of this petal. Some coming up here, kind of on the inside. And definitely some coming off here. Now I'm going to get into my zincs, just right into it without rinsing my brush. I'm going to blend this out. See how that's doing? Look at that, look at that, look at that go. This distant, yet very important petal against the wine glass now. Can we see it?
Yeah.
When I have that, I can wipe off my brush, and I'm just going to pick up some of my titanium white.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to let me curve this over. See how I created that curve out of nothing?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
You didn't even know. Maybe a little bit here on this edge, but not, and a little bit on this forward edge. Not a lot. Let's not get crazy. Don't get crazy with it. I'm going to get some of my little magenta color here. And just come back here. Just making sure that this is well thought out and resolved.
Wow, you're almost done.
I am. Like, really, really. I have a couple highlights to do, and we're actually done. Did you know that?
Yeah. This is going pretty quick.
Yeah, they're not that bad. It's not that bad. So I'm just looking. I'm going to take a minute and look for some space where do I have some highlights that I need to be more specific about with my pure titanium.
How do we say the name of this flower?
Alstroemeria.
Okay, yeah, because I couldn't. I was just like, it's like I was going to call them like Alstroemeria.
Yeah. All right, so here we have a wonderful, wonderful little, look at that, I come along with the edge.
You've put
edge it.
Alstroemeria in.
Look at how the edging just does some crazy things. So now we have this gorgeous flower setup of what is very visually complicated, right? It's a complicated set of flowers, but we broke it down into steps and stages. We just digested it in small amounts. Whenever I'm overwhelmed by a painting, I find a spot or area in it that I can see easily, that I can dissect easily, that I can understand easily. And I start my focus there, and I start to wander my attention out from it to safe little stages. You know, when I think about how I'm building a painting, it's like having a life raft. Well, I totally know how that background's done, so let's just get that thing in. And as I'm looking at my object, as I'm looking at my space, I'm going to see as time goes by what's next, what's next, what's next. If I stay calm and I stay focused and I realize that my paint dries, and as soon as my paint is dry, I can put another layer on.
Yeah.
Put another layer on it. If you like it, put a layer on it. I'm sorry about today's weird
It's been
goofiness.
good.
Okay, so tomorrow,
Yep.
grapes. And then Thursday is Daenerys, which
Yep.
could be a whole long day. And then Friday is lemon, which y'all think is hard, but really isn't. And then the last day is I'm going to show you how you paint metal not using any metallic paint, like ever at all. I've never used metallic paint.
Cool.
So you're going to, boy, are you guys going to have a beautiful still life for your homes, right? This is going to be like in
awesome.
people's homes. Your friends are going to come over and be like, wow, I love that painting. Where did you get it? And you're like, oh, I just made it. It's just like this thing I made. It's just no biggie. It's no biggie. I'm just awesome.
Yep.
Be good to
'Cause you'll be-
yourselves.
We love you guys. I love seeing these guys. I look forward. This is the most satisfying part of my day.
Come by the
is
Facebook
knowing
group
this.
and share these. Come by the website. It's free to upload pictures to the website. Come by Facebook group, the Art Sherpa official, and upload it. I have a fan page, the Art Sherpa. You can share it there. All Sherpa spaces are safe art sharing spaces. We really, really protect those and guard those, so you can put your painting up and never feel self-conscious about it. Self-conscious about it. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other, and I will see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye.